Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat and welcome to Day 4. I'm Sheena Valenzuela, Project Officer for Digital Democracy at MPC. Munting paalala bago tayo magsimula. For identification purposes, all attendees are required to have their first and last name and LGU in their display name. Today's session is being recorded. We may also use all or part of it in our platforms and publications. We encourage you to get your questions in early, even while the presentation is going on. You may send in your questions by typing them in the chat box. When we call on you for your question, we will turn your mic on. Please state your name and LGU name before asking your question. And lastly, as we start today's session, I'd like to remind everyone to please turn on your cameras so that we can all feel like we're together in this learning process. Thank you, and I am now turning over the floor to Geeta, our project lead.
Thank you, Sheena, and welcome to Day 4 of Digital Democracy, a clear path training for LGUs and local civil society, an initiative of Makati Business Club's Digital Democracy Project, supported by USAID Philippines. Here's a recap of what we discussed. Before we proceed, I'd just like to ask everyone to give me a quick check. I wanted to check with everyone. How is everyone doing? Can you give me a thumbs up or a heart or a confused about how you're doing this very, very lovely Friday morning? All right, I can see a lot of thumbs ups, a lot of hearts, and a few smiley faces. It's nice to see that everyone is happy and ready to be here today. All right, so here's a recap of what we discussed over the past 2 days. We got an introduction into the digital democracy process and why it's important for good governance. We started on the Clear Path module. We completed module 1, clarifying goals. We assessed the landscape, we understood the importance of securing leadership buy-in, and we created our problem tree analysis. We also completed module 2, laying the foundations for digital democracy. We started putting together our action plan. And finally, yesterday, we completed module 3 and 4, where we learned how to engage stakeholders and why it's important to adapt strategies for your policy. So on day 1, we actually worked on our problem tree analysis, where each of you created your problem tree analysis for your digital democracy consultation. On day 2, you worked on your strategic action plan. So that's on the next slide. Yes, that's where you started your plan and you started putting on dates on when you plan to do your activities. And then finally, yesterday, we prepared our stakeholder maps. And that was the most creative of all because you could see there's so many ideas and so many ways to reach out to our stakeholders. So for today, this is what our schedule looks like. Today, we'll focus on reviewing and renewing. So we'll start with module 5, where we'll talk about conducting a closing assembly and closing the feedback loop. We'll present a discussion on the Digital Democracy Awards framework. And then finally, we'll have a breakout room where we'll finalize your digital democracy roadmap. We'll discuss what we learned in the breakout room, and then Aleph will conduct a survey of your experience so far. So today we'll focus on reviewing and renewing. So let's start by discussing the impact of digital democracy process on our cities. So in 2020, in Pasig City, Pasig City started the Open Streets Project, kung saan 514 participants ang sumali sa mga citizen assemblies at survey. The consultation sought feedback on transforming low-traffic streets into pedestrian and cyclist-friendly areas during the COVID-19 pandemic. So before we move on to the next slide, I wanted to ask you, ano po yung impact ng Open Streets Initiative sa Pasig City? Is it A, helpful because it revealed areas of both agreement and disagreement among citizens? B, it's good because it provided recommendations to consider open streets as a child safety initiative? Or is it C, it encouraged the mayor to hold a street festival in 2021 based on the citizen sentiment? Can you tell me what do you think was the impact? Is it A, B, or C? Perhaps you could write it on the chat box. Mark Anthony Lahtoha says it is A. Dr. Antenor says it's A. Great. Thank you so much for your responses. Anyone else has a response? Or any other thoughts? Maybe you think it's something else. All right, from Cagayan, we have Raelita who thinks it's letter B, recommendations to consider open streets as a child safety initiative. Yes, that's great. So A and B is actually the correct answer. Yes, you are correct. So A, it was helpful because it revealed areas of agreement and disagreement. And actually, that was what the insights taught us. Nakita namin that citizens in Pasig, gusto nila yung pedestrian-only zone kasi in that case, kung wala pong kotse, then it's safe for children to be on the street. So it's a child safety issue rin pala. We didn't know that when we started the consultation. All right. So moving on to the next slide, in 2021, again, we worked with Pasig City. They wanted to know about a transport initiative. They wanted to have low-speed streets naman. Ang low-speed streets ay streets where ang maximum speed is 30 kilometers per hour sa urban centers. Sa survey na ito, 523 people responded tungkol sa survey. So question, ano po yung impact? Do you think it's A, recommendation for information campaigns and engineering solutions ang binigay ng citizens? B, did the citizens suggest enforcer training to address concerns? C, did the government decide to conduct a pilot implementation first? Or D, did they add speed bumps in these areas to make the speed slower at 1 meter intervals in Emerald Avenue? Does anybody have a thought? What was the answer? All right, Raymond says it's A. Vanessa April says it's A as well. Thank you. Any other thoughts? Mark Anthony says A and D. And Dr. Antenor says A and C. All right, I think most of us think it's letter A, right? Or letter C. So yes, actually it's A, B, and C. Nakita po namin in this case that the citizens were concerned about enforcers, that baka if they're going too fast, the enforcers might immediately catch them, and maybe they would try to give them a ticket without discussing first. So they wanted to, we recommended to the government na magkaroon po sila ng training para sa enforcers. Sige po, so moving on to the next topic, which was in 2021 rin po, we worked with General Luna. Alam natin tungkol sa Intramuros po. Yesterday lang we discussed it. So in Intramuros, they wanted to turn General Luna into a pedestrian-only zone. Ito po yung mga impact. The government considered the delicate balance between heritage preservation and development. B, General Luna is now a pedestrian-only zone. And C, Bambike Ecotours business has grown. So which do you think is the correct impact? If you don't know, Bambike Ecotours is actually a tour group that runs in Intramuros at meron silang bikes that they loan to citizens who want to. All right. Mark Anthony, Raymond, and Dr. Antenor say it's all are the answers. All of the above, yes. Great choice po. Yes, it is all of the above. According to our partners in our data science partners, sinabi nila that we should consider the delicate balance between heritage preservation and development. So the government included this in their agenda when they were discussing the policies. And tungkol sa Bambike Ecotours, hindi po namin alam, probably because sila po ang they're really posting about it, and they're very happy na pedestrian-only zone na po yung General Luna. All right, thank you so much. Next slide. Okay, in Legazpi City, they wanted to strengthen small family business, and the possible impact of the consultation is A, the government understood the needs of its MSMEs. B, they conducted training workshops. Or C, they started a Legazpi Sunday market for MSMEs. What do you think is the correct impact? Or what do you think was the impact? Maybe they're all correct, pero ano po yung nangyari doon? Any thoughts? All. D and C. A and C. A and C, yes, government understood the needs of the MSMEs. And C, they started as Legazpi Market, Masbate City, A and C as well. All right. Thank you. B and C, yes, Crispina Bailan, that's a great answer as well. Actually, A and B are the correct answers. Yes, the government understood the needs of the MSMEs based on this consultation. And also, the government was able to conduct training workshops po. But what was interesting is the Legazpi Sunday Market, they didn't conduct that in Legazpi City, but they do have their online marketplace, which they were promoting and boosting in Legazpi City. So now I wanted to ask you, for the next slide, we have now in Iligan City. In Iligan City, we have they wanted to strengthen small businesses also. So could you choose which do you think was the impact? Was it effective policies to support Iligan's MSMEs? Was it that Maria Cristina Falls, which is the largest falls in the Philippines, located in Iligan, started its own freelance hub incubator? Or C, 229 participated in the online consultation versus 20 in face-to-face public forums. Any thoughts? A and C? Yes. All right. Yes. So the answer is A and C. That's correct. Letter B would be nice, but that's not what happened. But I don't know if you know this fun fact. In Iligan City has the largest number of freelancers in the Philippines. So in Iligan City, they have more freelancers than anywhere else. So it's really interesting. And when we spoke to the freelancers over there, and they said it's because in Iligan City, the electricity is not so expensive kasi meron silang hydroelectric city. And so that's why marami pong freelancers doon. And mas maganda rin daw yung rate ng internet. So that's really good and interesting to hear. So now finally, I wanted to ask you, for 2022, in Pasig City, kayo po ang magsasabi sa akin, what do you think is the impact? In Pasig City, they had a conversation about biking to work. They've asked the citizens, how can the government help citizens bike to work? Ano po ang isip ninyo was the impact of this consultation? Could you write your answers in the chat box? So in Pasig City, what happened was we realized that maraming people like to bike to work, but they don't really have the full support. So they wanted to ask their citizens, how can the government support you biking to work? So we have Vanessa Villena from Batangas City. The impact was having an active lifestyle anchored to their city health program, which we also want to pursue in Batangas. Great. Actually, Miss Vanessa, could you unmute yourself and share a little bit about what you want to pursue in Batangas?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, yes. Actually, it was included in the discussion on our local health board.
Mhm.
So part of that is having an active lifestyle sa mga employees, which we want to pursue po. parang we want to promote more bike lanes here in Batangas City. So part of the health program is to promote an active lifestyle po sa mga city government employees, particularly po sa amin sa City Government of Batangas. I think it will parang pass to an ordinance with the help of our Sangguniang Panlunsod to make a policy about that.
That's so great to hear. Thank you so much for sharing, Ms. Vanessa. Sir Mark Anthony, perhaps I could ask you to also unmute yourself and share po.
Good morning, everyone. So we have consulted regarding the impact. So we have identified that because the employees are using their bike going to work, so they could be healthier with regard their health because this is a physical exercise. And given that they will not be using their automobiles or their car, there would be less carbon emission. And to factor that in, of course, there would be less traffic.
Thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
Sir Mark Anthony. That's a great response po. And Dr. Antenor, could you share your thoughts po?
Okay, so good morning, Ma'am Jeta. I think one of the probably an impact of this initiative is it supports really a sustainable and inclusive transport system in Pasig City, because through this we actually I'm really thinking about it's a policy enforcement, seeing the rights of the cyclists or the bikers, and this is actually one of an initiative to realize that making people aware of the benefits of cycling, not only yung ating pong mga sasakyan. So nabibigyan po sila ng pagkakataon or an obligations for people to really include, okay, sa policy enforcement po sa kanilang syudad.
Perfect. So thank you so much, Dr. Antonor. So yes, this was definitely a sustainable and inclusive initiative of Pasig City. And on the next slide, we'll see that in Pasig City, what they did was they proposed a cycling advisory board. So they were working on an ordinance for this so that all of the interests of the cyclists and improvements could be regularly suggested to the government po. And they also started working on a guide to promote Pasig City as a sustainable commuting option, just like you mentioned po, Dr. Antenor. So on the next slide, now we have the MBC consultation with Victoria City, which happened in 2022. So thank you so much, Raymond Sadiwa. Implement bike lanes and participate in biking events. Yes, that would be a good impact po of consulting with citizens. In 2022 in Victoria City, they wanted to ask their citizens how to strengthen the mental health of the youth. Kasi si Mayor was a little bit alarmed that there was some mental health issues in Victoria based on a research published or shared by the Department of Health in Victoria City. So the mayor wanted to consult their students, the youth, how can they help with their mental health and strengthen it. So we surveyed 405 youth, so students, youth, SK, and they responded to the survey and we were able to provide some suggestions to the government. So what do you think was the impact of this consultation? Any thoughts? Perhaps you can just unmute yourself rather than type. Baka mahaba yung typing. Does anybody have an answer? You can give me a thumbs up and I can call on you po. Yeah. So in Victoria City, they started consulting with the youth and then they came up with a few programs. Do you have any thoughts what those programs could be?
Maybe sort of pre-counseling services to for those who need psychosocial supports?
Yes, Dr. Antenor, that's exactly what they did actually. On the next slide, we can see the three interventions of Victoria City. So they identified the need for the mental health programs focusing on certain topics because of course there's so many concerns around mental health. So the topics that they were focusing on was relationship related stressors and social media's impact. They also started or supported a 24/7 hotline for schools and young offenders. They did a lot of counseling with young offenders in Victoria City. And they also provided mental health service and counseling. So that's for Victoria City. And then finally, in Himamaylan City, the government asked their citizens about how to strengthen youth policy through digital democracy. So they wanted to know which of the SK projects should be prioritized by the government. And in this case, I guess I'll just jump to the answer because what they did was they asked their citizens about 16 projects the SK had. Pero kahit na maraming projects, yung pondo is cannot cover all 16 projects. So they chose the top three, and the top three were, if we go to the next slide, we'll see that the top three answers were Project Hulat, which was about supporting youth in reproductive health, Escolar ni SK, financial assistance for school and youth leadership summits, and Basura Mo Premio Mo Drive, which was to support recycling in the city. The letter D is not been used. They have a festival there, but no, they didn't use it for the festival. Thank you so much. So as we can see, the digital democracy has really a lot of impact on the policy making of the government. And so we can say that digital democracy, in 9 iterations of digital democracy with Makati Business Club, in 6 cities, and the 6 cities are Pasig, Himamaylan, Victorias, Iligan, Legazpi. We can see that in the next slide, we can see that mayors, LGUs, employees, and constituents think that digital democracy is flexible, easy to learn, and a useful tool for gathering citizen input. So in fact, Mayor Vico Soto shared that digital democracy is really in line with the greater vision of having a local government that is inclusive in its decision-making, that is participatory in its policy building, where it is really the people's government. And also Mayor Javi Benitez really supported the initiative in his city when he said the survey and online consultation seem to be the safest, most appropriate, and efficient means of communications or approach. It's vital that we use technology in crafting programs and policies for the government. And let's now hear from Vice Mayor Gatuslao from Himamaylan City on the impact of digital democracy in their city. We can watch what he says next.
Mayang aga Gita, the rest of the Makati Business Club team, and of course to all our participants here in this other iteration of digital democracy, headed of course by MBC and the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung. Last year we were very lucky that a place that a lot of our friends in Makati Business Club could not even pronounce properly at first became a recipient of this very important and groundbreaking project. Himamaylan is a third-class city in the province of Negros Occidental, and I'm glad that Kendrick asked how far is our farthest barangay or our farthest sitio, and I answered truthfully, 2 hours drive plus 6 hours on horseback. Our land area is roughly the same as that of the province of Siquijor or that of Quezon City, except of course we have reef to ridge ecosystem, and so it's quite difficult. And so if you just consider the magnitude of the area that we're trying to govern, given the unique circumstances also of having a monocrop economy, of having some problems also in terms of peace and security. So we were very lucky that MBC considered us as a beneficiary for this program, and it was truly very helpful. We brought together, I think, more than 100 young people from Himamaylan, and we asked them a simple question. With the help of MBC, we asked them, what matters to you? And how would we be able to help you build your future? And quite frankly, the answers that they gave were very different from the answers that they gave to other regular surveys. They were very honest in the MBC initiative. What came out first was that the number one concern was mental health. And it was really mind-boggling for us because hardly anyone talks about mental health on the ground level. Second was adolescent reproductive health, a very taboo topic that is hardly discussed in the community, but it came out in the results. And third was education. And so we were able to tailor our policies, starting, using this as data. And true enough, it was very helpful first in getting more young people on board the decision-making process in the city. And of course, as a politician, it was very helpful as well. I truly believe that good governance equals good politics. Mayor and I won re-election fairly easily, despite and of course, through of course, huge turnout from young voters as well. And so I'm encouraging all the LGU representatives here. It's now time, this tool, it's only a tool, no? It depends on us on how we use the information, the data that is gathered. But I'm sure it's not difficult to be able to at least ask the questions. The answers are out there. Sometimes we are bogged down and we are challenged by being stressed out, forced to find answers when we don't even know which questions to ask. And I'm so happy that we have friends in the Makati Business Club, in Konrad Adenauer, that can help us ask these important questions, not only for our benefit, but for the benefit of the municipalities and the cities that we care for, and ultimately for the country that we all love. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm glad we're all here as well for this iteration. Madamo gid nga salamat sa inyo nga tanan. Mayong aga.
So nakikita natin that digital democracy is very helpful in helping citizens and governments come closer together. But once you have completed the digital democracy consultation, it's time to go beyond the survey. So what makes digital democracy different is the most important step, is the last step. Dito, we have to think about what ordinances or policy changes you want to implement based on the feedback from your communities. And then finally, it's time to make a new plan. The process of listening and learning from our communities never stops. So the plan is actually a cycle that continues on. So it's time to review where you're at and renew your plans. So ask yourself, what's next? Meet the team again. Ask yourself if the concerns revealed by the digital democracy consultations have been resolved, or should more actions be taken? Natutugunan na ba ang lahat ng concerns? Ano pang ibang concerns ang meron ang inyong mga constituents? Ipagtuloy ang proseso ng pagkikinig sa inyong mga mamamayan. There are several reasons why we need to regularly review and renew our strategies. So firstly, adapting to changing needs. Habang nagbabago ang needs ng komunidad, dapat magbago din ang ating mga approaches. Incorporating feedback. Regular reviews allows us to incorporate feedback from stakeholders. And finally, improving effectiveness. Continuous improvement helps us refine our methods and increase their impact. Here are the steps to effectively review and renew your strategies. Monitor outcomes. Continuously monitor the impact of the policy or plans enacted as a result of the digital democracy consultation and evaluate their success. I-adjust ang inyong strategies base sa assessment ng mga initiatives. And if needed, gather stakeholder feedback again. Collect input from stakeholders to understand their perspectives. After all, alam nyo na how to do it. Patuloy ninyo i-review at bantayan ang resulta ng digital democracy consultation. Mag-schedule ng regular reviews ng inyong mga ginagawa. Gamitin ang performance metrics para malaman kung successful ba ang initiatives at kung saan pwedeng i-improve. Ang regular na pag-assess ay nakakatulong para masigurong epektibo pa rin ang relevant ang inyong strategies. Pag nakita nyo na mga pwedeng i-improve, gumawa rin ng plano para magbabago. ipaalam ang mga changes sa lahat ng involved at magbigay ng training at support para smooth ang transition. Any questions before we proceed? Okay, if no questions, we can discuss po the Digital Democracy Awards. All right. So, as we know, with our Digital Democracy Project, meron po kaming Digital Democracy Awards in November, where we will be presenting the most outstanding consultations with awards. We want to recognize po yung efforts ninyo. So yung main awards are People's Participation Award. So this one would measure the largest percentage of voters participating. Meron po Citizen-Led Policy Award. So dito po yung number of policies or how involved were your citizens in the policy making of your LGU tungkol sa topic or issue that you were discussing with them. So ito po yung highest impact. Then we also have a leadership award where we are going to award the lead, how engaged the LGU leader is in the process. We also have special categories, which is talking about Data Stewardship Award, where you're able to protect and keep safe the data of your citizens. Outstanding Public Communication Award, ito po yung social media engagement or how you used media to communicate with your citizen. And then Digital Trailblazer Award. Here po, we will recognize the use of unconventional ICT solutions. So we will provide you an email po with all the details after this training. And in that email, we will give you a brief with all of the information on each award and how it's going to be measured. Any questions? Okay, if no questions, I'd like now to take a moment to introduce. Great. I'd like to take a moment to introduce my colleagues. We have Sheena Valenzuela, who is the Project Officer of Digital Democracy, and Cesar Iliao, who is our Communications Officer of the Digital Democracy Project. So the reason I wanted to introduce them to you is because Sheena, Cesar, and myself, we will be reaching out to you and hope you will reach out to us as you conduct your citizen assemblies. And as you consult with your citizens, kung meron po kayong social media activity sa city ninyo, I hope you can share it with us. And then MBC can also reshare your activities para mas malakas at mas malawak yung reach. So that would be great. I hope that we can hear more. And I hope we continue to collaborate further. So any questions once more? Tungkol sa Digital Democracy Award, tungkol sa review and renew. All right. If none, let's have a quick 5-minute health break and see you back here in 5 minutes. And then we will go jump into our breakout room sessions. Thank you. Welcome back to our Digital Democracy training. I hope you had a good health break. So it's now time for the breakout room of our session today. So that's happening a little bit earlier because we have to do a survey at the end. So for today's breakout room, we are going to be creating your own digital democracy roadmap. So the breakout session will run for 35 minutes. So based on the past sessions, we thought perhaps today we can give you a little bit more time. In each breakout room, you'll be going to assign an LGU. Meron pong dalawang prompts that will appear on screen. 10 minutes left indicates that 10 minutes have already passed. At saka 5 minutes left indicates that 15 minutes, you only have 5 minutes left po. After the session, your chosen leader will summarize what has been collectively discussed sa room ninyo. And just a reminder, the topics you discuss in the breakout room will be used to help you make your own digital democracy consultation in your LGU. So for today's session, you'll be creating a digital democracy roadmap. So let me start by sharing my screen. Okay. So for the digital democracy roadmap, what will happen is you'll be creating your own roadmap, and In this roadmap, what you're going to indicate is what are the tasks you have to do? When is the date this task is due? Who is in charge of the task? Sino po ang gagawa ng task na nakasulat doon? And what are the outputs of these tasks? So parang project plan rin siya. But we tried making it shorter and simple. So yung tasks that I've written here is for a generic digital democracy consultation. So for example, choose the topic. So July week 1, choose yung topic. Then July week 1, LGU leader should approve and buy in of the topic. We also suggest probably in July week 1, invite the LGU to speak at the opening assembly and closing assembly para mabook na yung dates. So July week 2, engage the data scientists early. Select the dates for your assemblies that you will be inviting the LGU leader to speak at. And then also start creating your communications and social media activity. So resources and person in charge. So who would be in charge of this choosing the topic? Do write the names there. Then for every single item, there should be a name so that you know who is in charge, who is responsible. And then finally, ano po yung output na to? So for example, for choosing the topic, ano po yung output doon? It might be a signed executive order, or it could just be an email that says, Opo, this is good to go. So what would that look like in your city? So we have a few categories. So first is planning. So we suggest doing this early, then creating the questionnaire. So first, in this part, you would choose the surveying tool, ano po ang gagamitin ninyo, prepare the questions, have it approved, and then perhaps suggestion to have it reviewed by the data expert. Then the third topic is opening assembly. Decide if the opening and closing assembly will be online or hybrid. So for example, in some cities, where not all the stakeholders have easy access to the internet, a hybrid option is good. So in Victoria City, what we did was we conducted the opening assembly online, and the schools held a watch party. So some of you are having watch parties. So that's a hybrid option. So a few of you are together in the room watching the activity happening online. So that's the second part. The third part, I mean. And then finally, collect feedback and analyze. This is when you have social media activity to collect the information, and you also encourage more citizens to answer the survey. And perhaps you can also reach out to stakeholders or CSO partners to help disseminate the survey. And you can write as many activities as you want. Then the fourth activity is the closing assembly. So plan the program, social media to invite the participants, prepare the response of the government. This is probably by the data scientist, and then conducting the closing assembly. And then finally, after the closing assembly, prepare the post-consultation report. Prepare a monitoring plan to monitor the impact of your activities. Prepare policy updates based on recommendation. And prepare a press release based on the actions taken by the government. So all of these activities should have a corresponding resource and an output. Once you're done, if you are done, this is the priority today. If you have extra time, it would be nice for you to start on your risk analysis. What are the possible risks of this activity, and how are you planning to mitigate? So for example, if there's a lack of interest to answer the survey, one suggestion is to reach out to community leaders and CSO partners to help encourage citizen participation. So that is going to be what you're going to discuss in your breakout room. Any questions before we proceed? I see that Sir Jed has a question. Can LGUs coordinate with MBC to ensure the availability of data scientists? How do they engage the data scientists? Yes, you may coordinate with us and we will make sure that the data scientist is working with your city if you don't have already. Because I know some of your cities already have data scientists. Some of you have already been trained by Ms. Frey to conduct their own data analysis. If you don't, and if you would like our help, happy to help you and help you connect with our Layer Tech Labs. All right, if there are any other questions? If not, all right, it's time to go into our breakout rooms. Welcome back, everyone, from our breakout rooms. I hope you were able to complete. I hope natapos ninyo po yung inyong roadmaps. And I can see we already have a volunteer, definitely. Sir Mark Anthony, please go ahead. From San Fernando, La Union.
Hindi ka makita, Zans. Wait lang.
And we will have Miss Sandra presenting.
Okay, go, Sandra.
Dito na ako.
Mm-mm.
So once again, good morning. I am
No.
I am Zandra Manongdo from the City Government of San Fernando, La Union, and this is the roadmap that we have just accomplished today. So for our planning stage, we actually started our task this week, June week 3, wherein we choose and finalize the topic. And then for the following week, we will convene as the Digital Democracy Council to review and finalize the questions we will float, and also to finalize this roadmap we are presenting to you today. And for next month, July, on the first week, our mayor, we will seek for his approval and buy-in of the topic, and then followed by the securing the logistics, inviting the LGU leader to speak at the opening assembly, including the closing assembly, and invite the identified stakeholders, including our Sangguniang Panlungsod, highlighting also to invite the committees related to the digital democracy, the engaging of the data scientists, that could be represented by our IT analysts as well. And for the week 4 of July, the selection of dates for the assemblies and the communications or social media planning, we chose to promote the activity. For the resources, we have here the council as the person in charge, and here in the July week 1, the wherein we will seek for the approval of our leader, we have here Ma'am Aimee as the in charge to lead the council in getting the approval of our mayor. And we also have Ma'am Aimee also to lead in securing the logistics, and myself in the communications or social media planning as the representative of the Public Information Office of the city government. So for our output, we look forward to have our final topic, the approved final roadmap, and a signed PO from our mayor, as well as his endorsement, and to confirm the engagement of our data scientists, the approved request for the assembly. We are referring here to the logistics we want to secure, and of course the final date and information dissemination of the activity, both offline and online collaterals. Now in the creating the questionnaire for the whole week 4 of June, we are to choose the surveying tool, prepare the questions, have it approved and reviewed by the data experts. So we will lead here as the DD Council or the Digital Democracy Council. And our outputs would be the surveying tool. We look forward to using the Google Forms and, of course, the proper plan for this activity. Now, for the next phase, the opening assembly, these are aligned with the planning stage I presented a while ago. So we will decide if the opening and the closing assembly will be online or hybrid, depending on the invitation or the acceptance of the stakeholders, and prepare the list of the stakeholders na nag-assure na ng kanilang mga attendance. Ayan, kung kaya ba nilang online or kaya nilang pumunta po sa event mismo. So yun, as I mentioned, depende po kapag we will conduct it hybrid or fully online. So for the third week of July, we will prepare the program flow for the assembly, and followed by, of course, again, social media promotion para po marami tayong ma-invite na audience dito po sa ating gagawing activity. So ayan, for the next stage, for the whole month of August, we will conduct the activity through social media and to encourage the people or the citizens to engage in this activity led by the PIO. That's why my name was there. And we will analyze the data collected. Yan, spearheaded by our IT representatives as our data analysts. And of course, send the results to the LGU for them also to be informed of the insights of the citizens. For now, moving forward to the closing assembly, of course, we will plan this in the weeks of August and September. Yan, para po ma-plansya natin yung program for the closing activity. Social media promotion as well to invite stakeholders to prepare response from the government to the results, and the finalization of the closing assembly we will conduct. So for lastly, after the closing, this is for the monitoring of the road of the Digital Democracy Initiative. We will prepare the post-consultation report, prepare the monitoring plan, prepare policy updates based on recommendations. Here, we will work with the Sangguniang Panlungsod together with the Secretary to the Sangguniang Panlungsod. And for the third week of September, prepare press release on actions taken by the government, led by us, the information office, so that our constituents are well informed of the results of the initiative we have just taken. And of course, lastly, to submit application for the awards to the Makati Business Club. We look forward to be awarded. Of course, we will do our best. So, yun guys, see you po. I hope every one of us will be awarded to the awarding ceremony of the MBC. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Zandra. I'll now like to call on Rayolita Legaspi of Cagayan de Oro to discuss their action plan. Since we don't really have so much time, may I ask you to limit it to 3 minutes and
Sure.
on discussion. Thank you.
Sure. Good morning to our friends from MBC and to everyone in the room. So we've started with the planning stage. We're going to have on Tuesday a review of what we had, the outputs that we had in the workshop, an internal review. I'm going to be the project head for this, so REL is me, and the team who's been attending the training will all be there, and we'll have the review and fine tune what the outputs that we had during the workshops. And then on June 27, on Wednesday, we are offering the whole day to MBC. They can choose what time to meet with us online for a consultation where we will present our updated outputs. And the final topic, I put my name there just to be the one who is responsible for it. But of course, we will consult also even up to the mayor. Maybe we will see how high we can go, but there. And then the LGU leader approval with me and also our lady po will be presenting it to him. How the invitation for the mayor to speak will be done by our lady po. Data scientists, we were thinking of engaging our local state university here, USTP, and also the city's MIS team. But we will see if Layer Tech can also be asked to help us with this. And then the dates and planning for the assemblies, these people are all in our office, so it's very easy to bring them together and really decide on the dates. We have skilled and experts in the communication and social media planning also in our office. So this SFS and DAFO is from our office. Then the creation of the questionnaires, we have also nag-commit na itong mga taong ito to be the ones to do this, and of course all of them except for Albert, who will be coming from the state university, will be from our office, so it's easy enough to bring everyone together. So July of week 2 is we decide if the opening and closing assembly, we discussed that it will be online, but we are going to have watch ano na yun, it's still online. So we were saying, is it hybrid or is it online? Everything is still online. And then list of stakeholders, we do have already sectors that we already have a list. So aayusin na lang po yan. But everything can be done within the office and with these people stated in here. Program flow for the assembly, yes, we will do that. And social media activity inviting. Feedback and analysis, these people are involved. And then next slide, please. Next slide. And for the closing assembly, the program for closing assembly, that will be us also, social media to invite the key people from our office. And the response of the government to the results will be preparing the response of the mayor and then present it to him. And then the closing assembly, yes. So after the closing assembly, the reviewing and renewing, that will be in September of week 2. We will be the ones also preparing the post-consultation report and the monitoring plan. And press releases, we can do it along with our city information office. And then we will prepare the application for MBC awards. With our key person to be contacting MBC is Hanin S. Lagindab. We weren't able to tackle the risk analysis, but we plan to do it on Tuesday. And along with the consultation with MBC on Thursday, we will be able to present something on the risk analysis. That's all, Gita. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Ms. Raelita. Very interesting plan, and we look forward to your digital democracy consultation. All right, now I'd like to call on Dr. Antenor from Batangas City. Dr.
Thank you
Antenor?
so much, Ma'am Gita. Good morning again to everyone. So let me share my screen. Okay, so for Batangas City government, so here are our digital democracy roadmap. So as you can see, we already have conducted our task for choosing the topic, specifically all the planning tasks. Okay, because just like what I have mentioned earlier, we have planned already the topic. And on Monday, so we will be doing the approval of the topic with our local chief executive and our city administrator. And then on the first week of July, this is actually boils for the invitations, selection of days for assemblies, and so on. So on the following task regarding the creations of the survey questionnaire, actually, we have already prepared a survey questionnaire, converted it into a QR code and survey link. And then we will need just to approval of series of questions and by the expert this coming week. Okay, next po on the opening assembly, of course, this will be falls on the July, on second week of July. All the tasks for the opening assembly. Why? Because on the third and fourth week of July, this is actually our Batangas City Foundation Day. So hindi namin po talaga sila ma-fit for possibly for third or fourth week of July. But then again, we meet the collection of data, collection of feedback and analysis of data by first week of August. Okay, so and then regarding the closing assembly, of course, we will be doing this by until the end of until the second week of September. Okay, and then this will be led by our local chief executive with the guidance of our city administrator. And then after the closing assembly, of course, we will be asking for the help also of our USAID counterpart to to submit possible applications for award to MBC. So for our risk analysis, so we have come up these three possible risks and how to mitigate them. Of course, everything when it comes to engagement of youth, so the possible risk is of course the lack of interest, in answering the survey, as well as since not all youth have this kind of access and mobility when it comes to their connections, devices, so they have this kind of risk of unavailable in assessing online survey. Next, we are also expected number of response that were not reached because yun nga po, they don't have available devices and digital medium. And of course, to how to mitigate yung possible risk na to, we need to reach out, of course, yung ating mga also the CSO partners and stakeholders to help us kumbaga po ay contribute for the engagement of citizens. And then we also need to, kung hindi kaya po yung online, maybe we could provide paper-based version of the survey. Since hindi naman po mahaba siya, I think ang inyo pong qualification, ng inyo pong criteria is to set it for a maximum of 30 questions, right? And then, lastly po, we need also to coordinate with our SK chairperson and encourage yung ating youth leaders to answer the survey. Kasi yun ang atin naman pong pagka naumpisahan ng ating mga SK chairperson, maiibaba na po nila down to the other youth leaders. So thank you so much. That is for Batangas City.
Great, thank you so much. I'd now like to call on Ms. Rox from Masbate City. Thank you, Batangas. That's really
Good morning, ma'am.
morning. Oh, Miss Jessamine.
Miss Jessamine po is
Okay, great.
Yes. So good morning, everyone. Okay. So for Masbate City, on June week, in this week, we have already chosen our topic, and it was already approved by our mayor. On the first week of July, we will talk to him, and para po bumuo ng technical working group that will focus on this activity. And we would also invite kung sino po yung leader from LGU that would will present on the opening assembly. We would also on July week 2, we would also engage with the data scientists and would select the dates for the assemblies and to prepare the plans po on the way of communicating and posting po of announcement for the activity. We would also choose on the second week of July the survey tools, and also with Batangas City din po, we would like it na naka QR code na lang. So they would scan it, and mas less time consuming na hindi na masyadong manual kahit po nakasakay na sila sa tricycle, they could answer us. And also the questions for this survey, we would ask the help of our frontline offices. And also that week, we would also seek the approval from the chosen data expert. We also would we have also decided that the presentation would be hybrid. And on the third week of July, we would also prepare and ask for the approval for the list of stakeholders that we would be inviting. On the August, also, dun na po mag-start yung survey. We would leave just, as you said, 1 or 2 weeks. And then sa week 3 and 4, after ma-analyze ng data scientist, us from the planning will we would after analyzing the results that came from the data scientist, The people from the planning office and the technical working group would prepare the results and would present it during the closing assembly. And hopefully by the end of September, we can submit our applications for the awarding of NPC. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rox, and thank you as well, Dr. Antenor, for your presentations on your digital democracy consultations. We are so excited for it and looking forward to seeing how it turns out. And finally, we have Tacloban City. Tacloban City, we have Adrian for sharing the screen, and presenting will be
Miss Lynn, Miss Linda, the stage is yours.
Hello. I'd like to see whether I can read your screen from my cell phone, Adrian. Parang hindi. So kasi hindi ko ma-expand yung ano. So probably you would do us yung lahat ng mga LGUs saka yung CSOs natin ngayon dito are ask you to start your video. So ito. Sige, okay. Naano ko na, I can already. Okay, so I'm not going to read through each as the other cities already have started or cited all the steps under planning. So under planning, we sort of thought planning and creating the questionnaire, we sort of thought that this would fall in the months of July. Okay? And some part of the general opening, the assembly will also happen in July. We put the dates there. And by the way, this is going to be indicative as the LGU and the key CSOs are not yet here. So I plan to have these presented once the other group also shall have finished their batch 2 training with MBC Digital Democracy Project. So ito, planning, creating the questionnaire, and opening assembly will happen in July. And in August, we will presume that the collection of the data, the feedback, and the analysis of the data will also be done. Okay? So perhaps you can go to the next slide, Adrian. And then the closing assembly will also happen in August. So the preparations will be done and planning will be done in July. The actual conduct, survey, and others, and the closing assembly will be done in August. And the post consultation report and others until the presentation or submission of the application for the awards to MBC will be done in up until the middle of September. So in terms of the resource persons, we found out, we decided that 3 among the LGU representatives trained DD, digital democracy participants, will anchor this, although without prejudice to also getting support from the other trained participants from the LGU. That would be all coming from the City Planning and Development Office. That would be Alexis Asi Arisa, Maria Anita Manatag, and Lutz Raagas. And the 2 CSOs, more senior CSOs, that's Kiko Baredo and Helena Claire or Wim Kanayong. So they would all anchor the stages of the roadmap for the Digital Democracy Award. And of course, the output is very obvious that for each activity, the outputs generated for each activity would also be the one expected to happen after each activity is done. For the risk, can we go to the risk? Yeah. We found out that the risk could be the respondents may not be interested to answer the survey. due to a number of reasons like digital access. They're not yet convinced about the survey or not interested about what's going on. So we found out, we thought that reaching out to the community leaders and CSO partners and encouraging the citizens to participate in all modalities like online, virtual, face-to-face, through the CSOs of Tacloban might be helpful to reach out as many CSOs, interested respondents as possible, no? And the non-availability of LGU and CSO participants who are assigned to key responsibilities and tasks in the roadmap due to conflict of schedules and also other work commitments. So again, there is a need to sit down with them, to have the schedules earlier set to generate commitment and constant communication and engagement during the planning phase and all throughout the stages of the roadmap would also be essential to mitigate whatever issues or non-availability or conflict of work or lessening commitment. And then we were also thinking that, I don't know, the MBC might be full in their hands, no? And fully occupied. There are really 9 cities. And not only that, MBC is also doing digital democracy as an ongoing project. So this might lead to lack of support and then also, or lessening of the hand-holding that is promised, no? So again, communication and engagement in all phases, from planning to implementation to the closing assembly to the writing of the post consultation report would also be essential now. I mean, keeping the fire burning in the partnership is also essential, not only with the LGU and the embassy, but even with the LGU and the stakeholders of the city. So that's all, and thank you. Nakaraos din ako.
Thanks, Miss Linda.
Thank you, Adrian, for your help.
Thank you, Doc Linda. And just rest assured, in terms of your risk with MBC, we are definitely committed to this engagement and we'll definitely provide the hand-holding support that we really would like to. We really want all of you to win, and we hope that we can support in making you the winners of this year's Digital Democracy Awards. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tita.
Thank you, Doc Linda. So thank you, everyone, for sharing your roadmaps. And I think you are now ready to kind of proceed out into the world and to, conduct your own digital democracy consultation. I'd now like to take a few minutes of your time to hand over the floor to Aleph. She's our digital democracy MEL consultant. Aleph?
Thank you, Gita. Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Throughout the Digital Democracy Initiative, we will ask you to answer questionnaires that will help us better understand your perceptions of citizen engagement and eventually your experience of implementing your own digital democracy initiative. So, nung unang araw po ng training, bago po magsimula yung training program, nakiusap po kami na makikisagutan yung survey at maraming salamat po sa lahat ng sumagot ng survey natin. Ngayon pong day 4, makikiusap po kami muling pakisagutan ninyo ang ating pangalawang survey. Today's questionnaire will ask about your readiness for a digital democracy initiative as well as your requirements po of the initiative. May mga katanungan din po tayo tungkol sa mga napag-usapan sa training program. So completing each questionnaire is part of the requirements for the certificate of completion, which may be issued after your accomplishment of a digital democracy initiative in your community. Next slide po. Paki-check po ang inyong chat box at paki-scan po nitong ating QR code para makasagutan po ninyo yung survey. So naintindihan po namin na medyo mabibitin po yung 10 minutes, pero simulan pa rin po sana natin. What we're going to do is we're going to send this a link also to your emails, but please feel free to take a photo or answer the survey now, and we will allot 10 minutes po for you to begin the survey. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Aleph, for providing us with the survey, and I hope everyone has gotten a chance to answer the survey online. Yes, before we proceed, maybe I can get a thumbs up if you were able to access the survey. Yes? Great. Yes. Quite a few of you have answered the survey. Thank you. So before we close today's session, I just wanted to give you a few reminders. It's really important to us that you answer the survey so that we can monitor the progress of the project. So a few reminders as well. Do finalize your digital democracy plan. Use the PowerPoint you've been working on to finalize your topics, stakeholders, roadmap, etc. And I hope you can take this time to get a go signal from your LGU leader. Please schedule a one-on-one session with MBC, either next week or the following week. Next week, mornings, we have training for the second batch of LGUs, but in the afternoons, we can accommodate one-on-one consultation with all of you. And MBC will be conducting our Digital Democracy Awards in November 2024. And you already know it, you've made your plans accordingly. So your dates of your consultation should be July to September in order to participate. Then finally, you will receive your digital democracy training certificates once you've completed your digital democracy consultation. So we hope to receive your submissions on your training by September so that your submission can be used for the Digital Democracy Awards. So before we close, we'd like to request a quick photo op with everyone. So perhaps you could take a minute to turn on your video. All right, I can see we're all turning on our video. Let's fix our hair if we're ready. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so now I'll count 2 times if we're all ready. So 1, 2, 3, smile. 1, 2, 3, smile. Wacky. All right. Great. Before we close today's program, I'd also now like to request all of you, if you haven't already, please like and follow us on our social media channels shown on the screen. And then finally, do answer our survey. Please, we hope that you can answer it after this call as well. And thank you once again for being such a great audience and participants in this batch 1 of the training. We'll see you again. We'll continue to work with you in the next few months and looking forward to your digital democracy consultations. So thank you and happy weekend.